everyone, Jerry Bellini here. Welcome to the tiny house. I moved in last week, and while I was unpacking, I came across this embroidery booklet, and it made me think, wouldn't it be fun if we did an embroidery project together, a stitch along? So that's what I want to do. I hope you'll join me. I'm not going to do this like I normally do with my how-tos and, very I just want to Brian always makes fun of me the way I talk. Wanna. What happened to the T in that word? I want to. What I want to do is start this project with you. We're going to do this together. And I'm working out of this little embroidery book that I found. And I don't know, it's got a lot of stitches in it. And they look pretty easy. I want something that the beginners are going to feel comfortable starting. And maybe you aren't a beginner. Maybe you used to stitch a lot and you just haven't for a long time. I've been reading I read all my comments and I reply to all of them. And a lot of you have been saying you feel kind of like frozen. Some of you feel like you're too old. Some of you feel like your stitches are just going to be really bad. Who cares? It's all about the process. I don't want you to focus on, is it good enough, or any of that stuff. That's nonsense. So I want you to find some cloth, get a needle, get some thread, and I want you to join me. And it's a very relaxing, soothing thing. It's good for stress reduction. It lowers your blood pressure, probably lowers your cholesterol. I don't really know for sure if that's true, but let's pretend it is. And let's just enjoy the process. So I'm going to do this differently. Since I'm not going to do it like a how-to, I'm going to let the camera roll. So it's going to be longer. So I'm going to, I'm going to ask you to get your supplies and then sit down in your comfy chair with a good light and stitch with me. And let's just relax and enjoy the process, okay? I started this already. I do the introduction after I've created some of the video. That's just how I've always done things. And I'm not tickled to death with this video. I am going to improve it for the next stitch. We learn, right? I'm learning. I'm taking this as a learning thing. And I have my camera set up over here. I don't have it very high up off the table. However, and I went under and looked under when I was doing it. However, when I went to edit it, I could see that it's not close enough. I'm very disappointed because I've already done it and I'm not going to do it again because I already have the piece done. So I'm going to try to edit it and see if I can't bring it up closer. But next week when I do the next stitch, I promise you it's going to be better. So don't get discouraged if you can't see as well as I would like you to. I'm going to just let the footage roll. I'm going to just chat with you. This is something that I have not done in the past. I'm a little uncomfortable with it, but I like to learn new things, and I'm going to learn how to do that. And if I hate it, or if you hate it, then we won't do it again like that. We'll do it differently. I just wanted to try it. I'm encouraging you to try new things as well. Let's start our stitch along. All right, let's go over some of the supplies that we're going to use for this project. Now, I'm going to create a scroll or a scroll-like piece, meaning I'm going to stitch a bunch of patches together. These are 4 inches wide this way. And I'm going to cut them or rip them various lengths. So I might even stick this one in there. And I'm going to overlap them. Well, this one really does look kind of small, so maybe not. I'm going to overlap them about an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and stitch them together that way. So I'm going to be doing slow stitching them together, and then I'm going to use this part for the embroidery. And I used various fabrics in muted tones and shades, and I actually picked some from my dot collection because I really liked the way those colors looked, and those are grays, beiges, browns. I did put some greens in if they're like earthy colors. Here's some cloth that I used. Don't be afraid to use the wrong side of your cloth, because oftentimes the wrong side, let's just move that aside. The wrong side is really nice and it's very muted. This one is questionable because it is kind of busy, but I think the worst comes to worst, and I can cut this out of my scroll piece if I decide that it's too busy and I can't find a stitch that would look appropriate on it. But you know, you never know. I might have a stitch that I want to try that's kind of has diagonal whatever, and this might be perfect. There's another one that actually I could use the top of this one or the back, either one. And this one is a hand-dyed cloth that I did a couple years ago. And I just love that. It's the same on both sides. So just pick out a, you know, selection of different cloths. You could even use colors, you know. If you feel like you can see your embroidery stitches on there. And the thing of it is, depending on what color threads you use. So I'm using embroidery floss. I'm going to use 3 strands, I believe, in most of the stitches. And, you know, maybe I'll use less or more in some stitches, but that's kind of the general rule of thumb. I'm going to use about 3 stitches, 3 strands. And the book does suggest, the book I'm working out of, and I think most embroidery books do suggest you using a hoop. So I'm going to try it. I don't typically stitch with a hoop, but I'm going to try it. This is a very small one. It's about 3 inches wide because my pieces are small, so I need something small. I might do a little applique on some of these, but if I do, I'm going to keep it really simple. And here's the thing, I'm just going to wing it. We're going to have some fun, and you know, maybe one week I'll just say, hey, let's try this or whatever. But I don't want you to be intimidated by any of this. I want you to just get some cloth, get some thread and a needle. I kind of use this ruler, it's a 4-inch ruler, as my guide to how big I rip these pieces of cloth. You don't need a ruler, just start ripping them. I don't know why I chose 4 inches, probably because I had this ruler. So there you have it, your thread and a needle. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is a book. I'm going to record our progress and our process in a book. And I was going to make a book, but I have this lovely traveler's notebook. I've had it for years that I picked up in Philadelphia one day when I was being a tourist. And I'm going to just record our process in here. So I'm calling it a stitch along sampler, and I'm going to write things down in there. And of course you're going to need a little scissor. And I think that about covers it. So let's get started. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. And I want you to not be intimidated by this. This is something really simple. And I just want us to have some fun and do this together. So now that you have all your pieces of cloth ripped to the size that you want, now you're going to put them together. And I just overlap them about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, an inch. It really doesn't matter. Just you just don't want them to come apart. And then I put a pin in there just to hold it for a second. But you don't have to do that if the pins aggravate you. And then just start doing some kind of a slow stitch on top of that to hold them together. And I don't really put them together in any particular order. You know, I may go under or over depending on the edge. So I really like that edge, so I would put that on the top. and just stitch them together. And some of the ways that you might stitch them together could look like this. So I stitched a bunch of them together. Just some running stitches, and I like to use various colors of thread. Just that. And here's some more. So just have some fun with it. I just did some little X's on that. Put some of your patches together and get your piece ready to start our embroidery project. All right, let's get started with our first stitch, and that is going to be stem stitch. Stem stitch can be used for lots of things. It can be used for flower stems. It can be used to outline something. It can also be used to fill something in. So if you put a lot of stem stitch together, it makes a beautiful filled in background. So I think we're going to try a couple of different ways to use stem stitch on one of our patches. Now, I just cut out a circle because it said outlining, right? It's good to outline. So I cut out a circle, and I used this circle template. It's 1.25 inches, my circle. Or you could take a spool of thread and just go around it. And then I cut it's only about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance outside the circle. Now, normally, I used to quilt and applique. I was a big appliquer. So normally I would applique this on, turning it under, blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing that because we're keeping it simple. So I'm going to do ragged edged applique. I'm going to move it down just a hair. I'm going to stick a little pin in it just to get myself started. I have applique pins, applique. I have applique pins. And I did find a little bit of embroidery floss, and I happen to want to use green because it's a stem stitch and I'm thinking stems. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a back stitch around the outside edge of this, and I'm using 3 strands of embroidery floss. That way, if you don't want to do a little applique round circle, this is representing a flower in my mind, then just trace your circle right onto your patch. If you don't know how to do a back stitch, so you're coming up from the back and your needle is coming out in the pencil line that you drew on your circle. Then you're going to go backwards, take a stitch going backwards, and have your needle come out of the cloth on the top in front of that stitch. Now put your needle back down into the back, but this time you're going in front of the last stitch. So you're going backwards and then you're coming out forward, backward, forward. You can see hopefully what I'm doing in the video. I'm just going to do this simple back stitch all the way around this circle just to get the circle tacked down, and then we'll start the stem stitch. So see what it's doing? It's creating these little stitches tightly together. So I'm going to go all the way around the edge, and I'm going to take, a fairly decent sized stitch, and I'm not trying to keep them even or anything. I love back stitch. And after you do a back stitch, or any stitch really, I always do the finger smash. So I just press the stitch down. It just kind of presses the threads in place. Okay, finger smash, back stitch, come up in front of the thread, pull, finger smash. And I'm just going to go all the way around to anchor this. So you can do that. That's easy, right? Even if you've never appliqued in your life, you can do this. And if you don't want to do it, then don't. But I'm going to try to give an example, or several examples of the stem stitch on this one little patch, because it said it could be used for several different things. So, of course, this is not the stem stitch. You're thinking to yourself, Jerry, what are you doing? This is the back stitch. I'm just getting this this circle adhered to the cloth, and then I'm going to do the stem stitch on top of this seam allowance, because it said two things. It said you can use it as an outline, or you can use it to fill something in. Let's take a few moments of silence to prepare ourselves for a relaxing stitching session. I hope this experience brings you joy, and I thank you for joining me. I've gone all the way around, and I'm going to take the last stitch. So I'm doing the back part of the stitch, and I'm going to come up right there where I started. Finger smash, and then go down to the back. I can remove that. Let's begin the stem stitch. We're going to work from left to right. So I've got my thread back here, so we're going to start working from left to right. I'm going to come back up. I'm still in this, I'm in the seam allowance of the little applique thing that we just did. And it says taking regular, slightly slanting stitches along the line of the design. The thread always emerges on the left side of the previous stitch. So let's just go down. So this is the first stitch. I should be doing it in a different color so you can see it. I hope you can see it. So I'm going to go down, and then when I come up, I'm going to come up like halfway between where I went down and where I came up, just to get myself started. Okay, and finger smash. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to come up midway, the middle of the stitch, the prior stitch that I just did. Okay, so now I'm going to, and because the circumference of this circle isn't that big, I think I should take small stitches. So you see, I went down, and then I'm coming up. I'm learning with you guys. You know, I have done this stitch before, but I have not taken the care to really pay attention to what I'm doing. So down, and then up, like midway, I would say, between this thread and where my needle went down. So let me just stop for a second and show it to you. Oh, that is really super pretty. So I'm going to outline this, and go slow, take your time. We're not in any hurry. This isn't a race. We're just trying to make something pretty and relax. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to let all the stress of the day go to the wayside and just lose yourself in your stitching. And I find sometimes when I'm stitching, these 3 strands were even when I started, and now, can you see that they're not? I don't know why that is, why that happens, but every once in a while I might just go like this and try to straighten them out a little bit. I don't really give it too much worry, to be honest with you. I just cut it off when it gets to a point where it's kind of too ratty. So push this out of the way. And try not to split your, try not to put your needle through your previous stitch. Oh, I got a knot. Okay. Okay, we're just going to go around and around. Gosh, I wish I could tell you a story while I was doing this. I tend to get very, my mind is just so on what I'm doing that I tend to get very quiet. Which, that's a good thing, right? So I'm just going to stop and let you see how beautiful that is. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I could have just omitted this little running stitch. I just felt like doing it, or back stitch that I just did. I could have not done that, and I could have just done the stem stitch. So you can certainly do that if you prefer not to see the back stitch, but I'm okay with the back stitch there. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm not overly particular about every little rule and regulation. It's for me, it's all about the process and what the process brings to the table. Meaning, if I've had an anxious day and I sit down and start stitching, I'm good. I can sleep like a baby. So I will let you know. I can see they're starting, the strings are a little bit out of sync with one another. Starting to get a little bubbly, but I'm not going to worry about it at the moment. I'm just going to keep doing this all the way around. Likely this video is going to be longer than any of my regular videos because I'm not going to edit this stuff out. So maybe you're sitting on your sofa and you're stitching and you're just listening. So maybe I better come up with a story. Because if you're just sitting there doing your own stitching, which is what I'm actually hoping. All right, I'll think of some stories for the next one. How's that? I'll tell you this one story. It's a stupid story, but it will explain why I can't think of a story right this minute. I went to UPS today. I bought all these different lights, these overhead lights to do these videos down here. And I bought like 4 of them because I wasn't happy with the first one that I bought, so I just kept buying them. And I also bought this thing called a gimbal, and I can't remember the person who told me, but somebody on our channel told me about this stabilizing tool. It's called a gimbal. I've never heard of it before, so maybe you didn't either. You hook your phone to it, and when you take moving videos, motion videos, it stabilizes everything so that you're not so herky-jerky. So I know you watched my studio tour, my beach studio tour. I know you did, because I got like 8,000 views on it, which shocked me because it was pretty herky-jerky. Anyway, I bought 3 gimbals, 3 different gimbals, and I make my husband do the research because I can't stand, I don't know, some things I can research and it's very pleasant, and then there's other things that I can't, and researching technology gives me a headache. So my husband researched and he narrowed it down to these 3 gimbals. So I bought all 3 because I thought, I have to see it. Now that he researched it, he would not tell me which one he thought I should get. He's always afraid that it's not going to be the right one, and then I'm going to get mad at him. So he's afraid. So I said, all right. So I bought 3 gimbals and like 4, did I say 4 lights? It was at least 4 lights. See, now that thread is really starting to move, and that's bugging me. So I've been experimenting with, I opened all the boxes and have been experimenting with a couple of them. And one in particular, one of the gimbals, I couldn't even get the box open. I've never seen anything so ridiculous in my whole life. The box was so convoluted. As I was trying to get it open, I said to myself, this is going back. If the box is this bad, I'll never be able to figure out this stupid gimbal. So that was a sidebar of a story. So I go to the UPS store today to bring all the stuff back. Some of the packages I had to make a box because, you know, I'm at the beach. I don't have a lot of stuff here. And when I went to do the return, it said, you know, you need a box and a label. Well, thank goodness I have a printer here, so that was okay. But the box was another story. And you're saying, well, Jerry, didn't the stuff come in a box? But yes, it did. All of the stuff came in this enormous box. So I couldn't use an enormous box to send. You have to send them back individually. I'm going to go down and get rid of this thread because it's starting to drive me nuts. Look how pretty the back looks. So I had to make 2 boxes. Oy vey, the whole thing was quite an event. And then I went to the UPS store. So off I go, and several of the items had the, you know, the QR codes, and several of them had already pre-made labels. Pre-made labels was fine. I just pushed my thread underneath some of these stitches. I'm not going to worry about it. I had to get a new thread. I wasn't going to make you wait while I did that. So now I need to come back up right in the middle of the last stitch that I made. And I'm going from left to right. Anyway, back to Amazon. So I get all these boxes packaged and put them in my car. Go to the UPS store. And I have the QR codes. I take a picture of them with my phone. And I'm very systematic about it because and this is all this story is because I get anxious when I have to do something while people are waiting for me. So I have the QR codes, I have my boxes, I have Post-its on each box that has a QR code, and it's numbered 1, 2, 3, blah, blah. And then I took the pictures of the QR codes in that order. So I'm up at the desk and I'm feeling pretty good about it because I've gotten very embarrassed. I get very embarrassed and very uncomfortable if there's somebody behind me and I'm holding up the line. So I couldn't find one of the QR codes. I'm stuck here. And now I'm going to get nervous. I couldn't find one of the QR code things. And there's a lady behind me. And I'm starting to sweat. Literally, I'm starting to sweat because I'm thinking I'm holding this lady up, and I turn around and it's just one lady. I mean, I've had a line of people behind me. And I turn around and I said to the lady, I'm so sorry. Why don't you just go ahead of me? And the kid that's ringing me up is going, no, well, no, I'm in the middle of this. I can't. You have to. So now I'm really getting anxious. So I said to the guy, just end the thing. Just end the whole transaction. And see, I'm getting anxious because I have a knot here and it's taking me too long to get it out. I'm not really sure what's happening here. So he didn't want to because I only had this one thing left and there was only this one lady standing behind me. But he just did. He just gave in because I started to like raise my voice. I started to say, no, just end the end the transaction. And so he, you know, he ended the transaction. I stepped over to the side and I found it immediately. But there's no way in heck I was going to be able to find that. I don't know what kind of a knot this just happened here. I don't know what happened. There's no way I was going to be able to find that with the pressure of that lady standing behind me. So what do you think? I know I have been behind people who have, I'm going to have to cut this off, who have been doing what I was doing and just didn't care. I think I got it. Yay. And just didn't care that there was somebody behind them. So which way, what are you? Are you the person that doesn't care there's somebody behind you? Or are you me? Where you get super anxious about the whole thing. So that's why before I go in any store, I make sure I am fully prepared and ready. I don't know. That story was stupid. But anyway, it's just giving you a little bit of a glimpse into my personality. I don't like to make people wait for me. So I'm almost all the way around. And, you know, I've never done a video like this before where I just leisurely took my time and did something. It's making me a little uncomfortable, I have to tell you. But I love to learn new things. As I have mentioned in many of my videos, especially as I get older, I'm going to learn how to do this. And when I say do this, I mean just let you see what I'm doing and fumble. I'm going to learn how to do that. Oh, I'm going to get stuck. I know I went right through a knot. So now I'm all the way around. I'm just going to kind of just, you see? You see? Look up. That's what K3N says. I follow her channel. She's a great channel. And her videos are like an hour and a half long. This one's probably going to be that long. And she's so funny. When I'm watching her, she'll go, look up. Because she knows everybody's stitching. So I can go around several times. I can keep going. Now you'll see what's happening. I'm not using a hoop, obviously. Probably if I used a hoop, this wouldn't happen. It's puckering in the middle a little bit. I don't care about that. I'm just going to not worry about that. But I think I'm going to go around a couple times, and you could even change the color of your thread. You know what else you could do? I could tell you what else you could do is, now I have 3 strands. You could have 3 different colors in there, or you could have 2 of one color and 1 of another color. So am I giving you too many options now? I'm going to try that for the next round. I'm going to go around again. So I'm going to just turn the camera off for a second and change my thread. Okay, I put 2 strands of a darker green and 1 strand of the green that I was using before. And as you can see, I stuck this in an embroidery hoop. I want to see if it's any easier. And of course, you know, the hoop I have is not big enough or small enough for this, this little piece. I am going to go out tomorrow and see if I can find a hoop. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious if it's going to be easier or harder, because now you've got to kind of get the needle. Oh, I like the way that looks though. The 2 dark and the 1 light. I have a question to ask you guys. So when you have, because you know, embroidery floss comes in 6 strands, right? So when you have, I just want to even these out as best I can. When you have 6 strands, and you need 1 or 2, say you need a couple, say you need 3, do you take 1 at a time like you're supposed to, or do you just grab 3? So I'm going to admit that I grabbed 3, and I tell you what, it never fails. It just doesn't work. It all gets all tangled. So just now I did it, and I only grabbed 1 at a time. And I want to tell you, it's like wonderful. I'm going to do it from now on. I'm going to do 1 at a time. This This light green one is lagging here. It's creating, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, it's creating a little bubble. So now I'm going to go around here. Now I'm going to cover the, I think I'm going to be covering the edge of the circle, the applique part of it. The raw edge. Jerry, can you say what you're thinking? I'm not sure about the hoop. Because with this, you kind of got to put your finger back. See, I'm pushing my finger back there. This is a lovely stitch, I have to tell you. I'm really liking it. And I'm really liking the variegation here. Oh, so maybe I do have some stories. My stories are so boring, though. I apologize. So, I found out there's an, not an embroidery, but like a needlework store down here. I'm going to go visit it. It's got all threads, and I looked it up online. It looks fun. You know, maybe this is nicer with this hoop. I feel like I'm liking it. Oh, you try it. Try it with the hoop and without the hoop and tell me what you think. We'll have a little conversation. Hoopless or not? Yeah, I can take bigger stitches too. Oh my gosh, I love it. So do that too. Experiment with the size of your stitch. I mean, this isn't going in an art show or anything. This is just something to do for fun. I mean, who knows? Maybe it will be that great. I forgot the finger smash. That it would go in an art show. I used to go, I used to put my work in quilt shows. I was a quilter for many years, and I've entered many shows and won a few ribbons too for my work. And if I still had the quilts, I would show them to you, and I don't even know if I have pictures of them anymore. I've given the quilts away. You know, as I was downsizing from one house to another, I was finding all this extra stuff that I wasn't really using to be burdensome. So I thought, you know, why not just give it to my kids, give the quilts to my kids and my grandkids, and while they're still young enough and they have families and they can enjoy it. So I did. I gave it to them. Show and tell. Here's a quilt I made for my daughter, Jess. This one quilt in particular, my daughter, Jessica, has it. I have to, if I can't find a picture of it, I will ask her to take a picture of it. And this is the quilt I originally made for my mother that I gifted to my youngest granddaughter, Ida. I actually made it for my mother. The background was all white, and it was squares. I can't remember how big the blocks were. I really like this. And I like the hoop. Yeah, that's interesting. My mom liked pink and purple, so I appliqued like a bajillion things, flowers, on top of these white blocks. Oh, it came out gorgeous. And I did enter that one in a show and won a ribbon for it. And I think I gave my daughter the ribbon. I actually gave the quilt to my granddaughter, Ida. My mother's name was Ida. And so I gave it to Ida. I think I gave it to her on her first birthday, like she even would care, right? But she wouldn't care whatever I gave her on her first birthday. And it wasn't quite a full size, like it was like a large twin, kind of, if you put it on the top of a full-size bed, it would just hang over the mattress a little bit. It was really beautiful. So as it turns out, there was a lot of purple in it. My granddaughter Ida, she loves purple. So my thread is twisting. My thread's twisting. So if that happens to you, just let it drop for a minute and untwist it. Look at that. I think I'm gonna not make it all the way around, but I want to go get a hoop now. So, okay, this is the stem stitch, and we're outlining. I am going to also do a stem. I want to be able to look at this, and it's going to give me ideas. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to look at this piece, and I'll say, oh, that would make a fun thing on such and such. Just that light green thread keeps bubbling up on me. So I am going to do whatever the book suggests. I'm just going to try to lose that there. And I think that's enough. I still see a little bit of the cloth sticking out along the edge, but I'm not going to worry about it. I really like that. It's really lovely. So I outlined, and I also filled in, you might say. I'm going to end off my thread. And I'll have to write a list of things we can talk about if I'm going to do it this way. Meanwhile, I think I just want to know what you think, how you feel about this video. Very unlike a lot of the stuff that I do, meaning not showing you exactly what I'm doing quickly and moving on to the next step. So let me know what you think, and I will come up with hopefully some more interesting stories. I want to see what this looks like. Some interesting stories to talk to you about while we could talk about getting old. That's what we could do while I'm stitching. So I am going to write the word stem stitch with thread on here, and I'm going to also put a stem. And I'm going to stop the video here because I feel like it's been a long time anyway. So let me look at the video and see if it's really long. I'll just stop here. Otherwise, I'll come back. All right, I'm not going to record this for you, but I'm just put a pencil. I don't know if you can see the pencil mark. I just put a pencil here and here. And I'm just going to do the stem stitch. And I have 2 light greens and 1 dark green. I almost can't stop. This is such a soothing stitch. I wish I had a smaller hoop. I'm going to go out tomorrow and get one. If they don't have one at the thrift store, I'll go to that embroidery shop. So I just wanted to show you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go there and then here. And then somewhere I'm going to write stem stitch. And I also just had a thought while I was doing that. I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to make a little notebook or like a little zine or something, like a few pages to write down the date and what I'm doing and etc. I think I would like to journal what we're doing here with this. I don't know. This may go nowhere. Like I said, I might do 5 stitches. I might do 20. I might do 100. But it might turn into something. So why not start off, you know, with the idea in full bloom. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you maybe later. about the booklet. If I make, you know, I make all my books, so maybe I'll make something really simple. Now I'll be writing the word stem stitch. Here's my finished piece, and I would like to put the words stem stitch on here so that when I look at this, you know, as a stitch sampler, I know what the names of the stitches are that I did. So before I actually try to write something on here, I'm going to just do it on a piece of paper. And I'm going to try to make my letters like little stitches. So I would suggest you do that before you try to start embroidering it. So I'm going to combine the lowercase letters and the uppercase letters depending on, you know, which looks blockier. Like, for example, if I was going to do a letter A, I would do an uppercase A, because a lowercase a, I would have to do these rounded edges, and otherwise I would do this, and it just wouldn't look as nice, right, as an uppercase. That I might say, what is that? So I would use an uppercase for that. I hope that made sense. So I could use an uppercase T if I wanted to. I like the I like that. Okay, so this is also a nice H. So just play around with the alphabet before you actually try to embroider on there. And I'm just going to use 2 strands of floss. I don't know why, but I'm just going to use 2. And I'm going to use brown because my fabrics are kind of natural, organic looking, and I just love brown. I don't know. I don't know why I do anything. I guess something just says to me, do it this way. So stem stitch, that's what I'm going to write. So there's my stem stitch, and that is done in embroidery floss, 2 strands, and I used I'm going to say block letterish. So it's all straight lines, and I did not try to get it straight. I love it. And if you don't want to embroider the words, you can try using one of these pens. They're permanent, and you can just write stem stitch on there. And if you don't want to put the name on there, then you can just leave it alone. And that's it for our first stitch along stitch on our scroll. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you, I don't know, next time, probably next week. Keep moving, just play, no rules, and remember to be grateful for something today. And I'm grateful for you.